I was born and raised in a Christian home, but I really didn't accept Christ as my personal Savior until I was 37. And I knew that God was calling me for a long time, maybe 6 or 7 years. And I just knew, I guess, that if I accepted Christ, He was going to call me to the bush in Africa, and I just did not want to go, and I just fought God for a long time. And I know that was... I knew that was at the back of my mind, and I was fighting it for a long time. But I wanted answers on some things, and God gave me those answers. And I knew that He was calling me, and I literally fought it for a long time. But when I talked to enough people, and they said, you don't have to go to the bush in Africa. You don't to be a Christian. And I think I finally agreed to that, and I finally got baptized. And then we got transferred to Chicago, and I couldn't figure out, God, why are you doing this? But I think it was always kind of in the back of my mind that that part of it, I think, was just something that was always gnawing at the back of me.
When Callie went to college and we became empty nesters, I just felt like I was getting a little restless, like, all right, is this what life is going to be like for the rest of our lives? What does God have in store for us? I really feel like there's something more that He has for us. And I had heard about a program that the International Mission Board offered for people about our age that were longer term service, 2 to 3 years. And so I was looking on the IMB website one night, reading through job descriptions. Joe was not even home. Came down to the very last description, and it said, we need financial services representatives. And specifically, this includes accountants. And I was like, wow, I don't have to be an evangelist. I don't have to be a medical professional. God can actually use an accountant. And He actually has a need for accountants. I'm like, that's pretty exciting to me, to know that there's a need for people with my skills to serve overseas. And so I thought, well, someday maybe that's what God has for us. Someday maybe that's what we'll be doing. And so I closed down the computer. I was reading my lesson then for the next day for Sunday, and as I was reading, came across a verse. It was John 20:21, and it was Jesus speaking to His disciples, and He said to them, as the Father sent me, so send I you. Immediately after I had seen that on the computer, God's telling me, so send I you. And I knew, right then, that He was not saying this is someday, this is now. And like I said, Joe wasn't home. I got on my knees, I was praying by the coffee table, and I said, Lord, I don't know exactly what I'm committing to, but I will surrender to You. Whatever You are calling us to do, wherever You want us to go, we'll go. And so when Joe got home, of course we talked about that, prayed through that. We actually started the application to go overseas a year ago in May. So it's been a very long, thorough process to get to the point where we are. But that, it was just so clear that there was no question that was what God was asking us to do. Our training starts July 21st, which is would be a week from tomorrow. And then there's still some details to take care of, and so just as far as transition goes, that goes well, and that we can focus on what we need to focus on.
Where we'll be going, there are no A's, B's, C's, or S's and T's and U's and V's. It's a different alphabet. It's a tonal language where you could say the right word, but if it's not in the right tone, it's the wrong word. So Penny and I are getting to the age a little bit where we can't remember the word we're trying to think of in English. We can say we know what we're talking about, but we can't come up with the exact word. So when we've got to identify what that word is and then come up with it in a different language, I think that'd probably be the biggest challenge for me personally at this point.
The training ends in September. They want us in Southeast Asia by the 1st of October. And so again, they know that transition will go well, that we'll be prepared, and that we will just, again, remember that God's in control, and just trust that what happens is what He wants to happen, and that, even though things may not go like we think they will go at this point, that the way they do go is the way that He would have them to go.